an honor and a privilege to be with you all today, and it's, coming straight from the Faber Center to your living rooms or offices. It's also a nice treat for me to be here. For those of you who joined us last time, welcome back. And for those of you who are joining for the first time, welcome. This is, as Christiane and Michael alluded to, kind of a bringing into dialogue of Ignatian spirituality and a yoga asana practice. And so I'm the director of the Trinity Fellows program here at Marquette. I'm also a student of both yoga and Ignatian spirituality, and I'm also a yoga teacher in the community, part of an organization called Ignatian Yoga. And so if you're interested in learning more about what that is after this experience, I encourage you to go visit our website, sign up for a newsletter. You can find us at ignatianyoga.com. I'm going to begin our session today, as we did last time, with a land acknowledgement. So to kind of continue this thread, so the theme is grounding into gratitude. The first session we focused on gratitude for creation. And so weaving that thread through all of these sessions is an intentional aspect of this. So I'm going to begin with a land acknowledgement, and this comes from UWM's Electric Quinny Institute. So we acknowledge in Milwaukee that we are on traditional Potawatomi, Ho-Chunk, and Menominee homeland along the southwest shores of Michigami, North America's largest system of freshwater lakes, where the Milwaukee, Menominee, and Kinnickinnic rivers meet, and the people of Wisconsin's sovereign Anishinaabe, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Oneida, and Mohican nations remain present. And so we're moving our focus in gratitude today to gratitude for self. And a quote that has been staying on my mind for a while that comes from Octavia Butler's book, Parable of the Sower, is that the universe is God's self-portrait. And I think it's probably quite easy to see, especially in fall, the vibrant colors, the beauty of creation, and how that is all a reflection of God or divine mystery in some way. But I also think it's important to be able to see yourself in that self-portrait, that we are all part of this divine mystery, and that we were co-created to be engaged in this. And so the focus today is going to be on gratitude for self. And that really means acknowledging who you are, both your gifts and your talents, and perhaps your failings, your faults, that all of us have and share as humans. One of the big themes of the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius, which is foundational to Ignatian spirituality, is that we seek to find God in all things, and that starts with yourself. And in the first week of the exercises, it's a focus on God or the divine mystery or spirit accepting you as a person for who you are because of the beauty you bring to the world, but also in spite of the things that you might be failing at, that we all contain, and that God is waiting with open arms for all of that, no matter what. And that this practice of gratitude is really a practice of positioning yourself in your own life, but also in relationship to that divine mystery. And then this choice of gratitude, this practice, allows us to really embody that which we seek. So there's a lot of common sayings that, go along the lines of, thoughts become words, words become actions, and there's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy nature to this practice of gratitude, and that what we seek, we start to become. And so reflecting on gratitude for self and really being grateful for the things in our life, the things that we are, can help us kind of view the world in a sense of gratitude and love, especially in times that are really challenging. So I invite you to really ground yourself in gratitude and use this time as a reflection on yourself and what you're grateful for in your own life because of who you are. So with that, I'll invite you to find a comfortable seat on your mat. And I'm going to stay up close to the front for a little bit just to get us going, but ground yourself in a comfortable seat, whether you're on the mat or in a chair, all is fine. And I just want to point out that I'm wearing my work clothes today, partially because I forgot to bring my yoga clothes, but also to, I guess, exemplify that you can do yoga anytime, in any space, with anything you're wearing. Certainly it's a lot more comfortable to have stretchy clothes, but we make the best of what we have, right? So again, grounding yourself into your seat, maybe closing your eyes, letting your hands just rest naturally in your lap perhaps or on your knees. And if you can, feel your seat or your feet on the floor. Grounding yourself in gratitude for you. An integral part of this self-portrait of divinity. An integral part of creation. And then start to become aware of the fact that you are in the presence of divine mystery, of God, and that you are, in fact, always in the presence of this mystery, that God is always near. Taking some slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. And before we begin to move, I will share a prayer by Sister Joyce Rupp called the Spark of God. Spark of God, Spirit of life, I remember and celebrate your dwelling within me. Divine fire, you never waver in your faithful presence. Amid the seasons of life, you are my inner illumination. Ever-present light, the spark of your inspiration has been with me in every moment of my life, always available to lead and guide me. Eternal joy, the dancing flames of your joy are reflected in my happiness and in the many ways that I delight in life. Spirit of God, your fiery presence gives me passion for what is vital and deserving of my enthusiasm. Blazing love, the radiant glow of your compassion fills me with awareness, kindness, and understanding. Purifying flame, your refining fire transforms me as I experience life's sorrow, pain, and discouragement. Radiant presence, your steady flame of unconditional love kindles my faithful and enduring relationships. Luminous one, you breathed love into me at my birthing, and your love will be with me as I breathe my last. Thank you for being a shining spark of life within me. So take a few more moments just to let that prayer settle into you, maybe seeing where you're resonating with phrases or words, and even perhaps bringing hands on top of heart to make that physical connection between your heart and your mind and your body. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes and bring your hands down into your lap or on your knees. Gently drop your chin down into your chest. And then let your left ear glide over your left shoulder. And then bring your right ear over to your right shoulder. Just simple half circles of the neck. Exhale as you roll over to the left. Inhale at the top. And then exhale, roll the neck over to the right. Let's do that one more time. Over to the left. Exhaling over to the right. And then slowly lift your chin. And then if your hands are not on your knees, I recommend bringing your hands to your knees. And on your exhale, round your spine, bring your gaze inward, maybe as if you're gazing into your belly button. So really rounding into the spine here. And then on your inhale, bring your chest forward, shoulders roll back, gaze is lifted. Exhale, round into the spine, moving through seated cat-cow. And inhale, bring the chest forward. And let's do this 2 more times. So today's practice will be, it's not going to be strenuous by any means, but it will be the most active. And we'll be drawing our attention inward, but also to opening the chest as you exhale around, opening the heart, expanding into love and gratitude. But centering our focus internally, coming back to a tall spine. On your inhale, lift your arms over your head, extend your fingertips up towards the ceiling. Maybe your gaze follows. And on your exhale, bring your right hand down. If you're on a mat, you bring it onto the mat. If you're on a chair, maybe onto your chair arm. And then lift your left arm up and over. And if it feels okay, you can bring your left hand behind your neck to kind of cradle your head with your hand. And hopefully you're feeling some sort of extension through the outside edge of your torso, your hip. Inhale, take both arms up and over, reaching fingers towards ceiling, and then exhale, left hand comes down. Right arm reaches up and then over. And again, option to cradle your head with your right hand. Just starting to become aware of your body and space, aware of sensations that might be arising. Slowly come back up to a tall seat. Inhale, lift up through crown of head, nice tall spine. And on your exhale, twist over to the right. So your left hand will clasp your right knee. Right hand comes behind you like a kickstand. And start by lifting up the spine. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, revolve. Twist over to the right. Maybe your gaze follows. And this doesn't need to be a huge motion. So keeping your left hand on your right knee, I'll invite you to bring your right hand, cross it over your left hand. So now your hands are on opposite knees or close to it, and your arms are in an X. Bend your elbows, bring your hands onto opposite shoulders. So you're giving yourself a little hug here. And I'll invite you to just maybe spend a moment or two just massaging your shoulders, giving yourself a hug, literally. Human touch is such a healing, powerful force, and often we look for other people to give that to us, but we are also our own healers in some ways. And you can stay here in this hug, or maybe you bring the backs of your palms together or the fronts of your palms together in what is known as eagle arms. So you're kind of in like a pretzel shape with your arms. And maybe you're feeling some space in between the shoulder blades. Take a breath here. And then slowly release. Take an inhale as you lengthen through spine. And exhale, twist over to the left. So right hand comes to left knee. Left hand comes behind you like a kickstand. Inhale, nice tall spine. And exhale, twist. Maybe gaze follows. Try to take full deep breaths here. Keeping your right hand on your left knee. Left hand crosses over, bringing your hands to opposite knees or close to it. Your arms are in an X. Then bend your elbows. Again, bring your hands to opposite shoulders, giving yourself a hug. Maybe close your eyes here and just embrace the full sensation of embracing yourself. And you can stay here, maybe give your shoulders a little massage, or maybe you bring backs of palms together or fronts of palms together. Finding that space in between shoulder blades, or what is known as the back of the heart. Lovely. And then slowly release, maybe roll the shoulders back a few times. And then I'll invite you to come onto your hands and knees briefly. We won't be here very long. If this is not a good place for you to be, you can come to a standing forward fold. For those of you on your hands and knees, extend your arms, your hands slightly forward so that your arms are at an angle. Your hands are in front of your shoulders. And then slowly start to lower your chest down, your forehead down towards the mat in what is known as a melting heart pose, Anahatasana. And your forehead might come, it might not. So you can bring your elbows down, maybe even bend them and rest your forehead on the backs of your hands. Well, really the point of this pose is to start to open up the front side of the body, opening up the chest, the heart center, kind of hammocking your spine in a way. And on your next inhale, slowly come back up. Walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes underneath. And on your exhale, start to lift your hips up towards the ceiling into a very gentle, very modified downward facing dog. And when I say modified, just keep a bend in your knees and maybe start to pedal the feet. We won't be here terribly long. This is just a pose of transition, if you will. And then start to look towards your thumbs and walk your feet up to meet your hands or your thumbs. Feet can be together, hips width distance apart, somewhere in the middle. Exhale, forward fold here. Put a bend in your knees as you wish. Let the crown of the head melt down towards the mat. Hands can rest on your mat or the floor. You can grab your elbows. Maybe take a little gentle sway here. The point is to just find motion, movement, positions that feel good in your body, that help to release, that help you ground in gratitude. Slowly release your hands, bring your hands to your shins or your thighs, and extend the spine away, so lengthening out so that your spine is parallel to the floor. Exhale. Fold back in, rooting down through feet as you root to rise. Inhale all the way up to stand. Arms lift above the head. And then exhale, bring the hands into prayer in front of the heart. And we'll pause here as we've grounded in gratitude and become aware of the presence of divinity or God in our lives constantly. I'll now invite you to start to wonder where in your day or your week have you experienced gratitude for yourself, or where perhaps you have bypassed it, rejected it, or not accepted it. And take the next couple of minutes we have with our practice to reflect on those moments where we did show gratitude towards self or where we did not. On your next inhale, circle the arms up over the head. And exhale, hands come back to heart center. One more time, inhale, circle arms up. This time, reach up, press down through feet, really ground into the floor as you extend arms up. Maybe take a slight back bend here, pushing the hips forward, gaze lifts, maybe arms go back slightly. And then exhale, hands to heart. Release your hands to your hips. Bring your weight into your right foot. Lift the left heel. And then as gracefully as you can, step. Maybe take a few steps back to find a lifted lunge here. So the right knee bends. Make sure the right knee is tracking over the ankle and you can see your toes. And the back leg, you can put a little bend in it. You can straighten it, whatever feels good here. Just finding what is known as crescent lunge. Gaze is forward. This might be a little bit of a balance challenge. Take another breath here. And then plant your left foot and widen your stance so that your feet are, what I like to say, on train tracks. So there's space in between the heels. Your hips are shifting forward towards the top of your mat or the front of your view. Hands on hips. Both feet are still grounded. And there's an action of the legs rolling inward. So that's where this inward focus comes in. We're not opening, we're drawing inwards and up. Hands can stay on hips, or if you want to, you can lift the arms up into Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. That front knee can bend a little more deeply if that feels good, or you can straighten it, find a middle ground. Hands can stay lifted, or you can sweep the arms back behind you, maybe interlace the fingers or grab forearms. And this rolls the shoulders back, starts to open the chest up a little bit more. You're welcome to stay here for another breath or two, or if it's in your practice, you can start to exhale, hinge forward into humble warrior. So your gaze comes down towards the floor. There's a tendency for the right hip to splay outwards. Try to roll it in towards that inner line. Hands can rest on low back, or maybe you have the openness to lift them up slightly. My shoulders are very tight today because I carried a 20-pound baby on my back all weekend. Nice. If you're in humble warrior, slowly start to rise all the way back up. Then bring your hands to your hips and everybody take a step forward so that your left foot meets your right. And maybe it feels good to shake out. Ground down into your left foot this time. We have to balance out the sides. Lift your right heel and then gracefully step back into lifted lunge, crescent lunge on the opposite side. Paying attention to your left knee. That right knee can straighten or it can bend slightly. Right heel lifted, gaze is forward. Embracing the imperfections. So when you feel yourself sway and wobble, maybe you're telling yourself, I shouldn't be swaying, I should know how to balance. But every moment is different. And that's why yoga is such a wonderful practice to cultivate that gratitude for self, because as soon as you start to accept that sometimes you'll fall and sometimes these poses won't feel good, that will help move you forward, propel you forward, and find the graces or the lessons within. All right, I'll invite you to plant the right foot now, and again, widen your stance so your feet are on train tracks, heels apart, left knee is still bent, back leg is straight, Virabhadrasana 1 on the opposite side. Hips are starting to square to the front of the mat. And if you wish, you can lift your arms up. Taking slow, deep breaths here. Feel free to stay here or maybe sweep your arms behind you, interlace the hands, and if you're interlacing, make sure the opposite thumb is on top, or you can grab forearms. Rolling shoulders back, opening the heart. And if you wish, you can exhale and fold forward into humble warrior so the torso comes to the inside of the left thigh, gaze starts to shift down towards the mat. Hug the left hip in towards the midline. And if you're in humble warrior, slowly inhale, release your hands as you come up. Hands to hips, and step your right foot forward, Tadasana. And take a moment, grounding down into your feet, feeling all of your toes, the ball of your foot, the heel of your foot, the edges of your feet. Beautiful. We're going to do one more balance pose, which is my nemesis / favorite. Shift your weight into your right foot and lift your left heel. Turn your right or your left knee out to the side and bring your left heel to your right ankle. So this is tree Vrikshasana. And this is if you're feeling unsteady or you feel like this is where you want to remain and reflect, wonderful. You can start to walk your foot up your ankle, maybe bring it to the calf. Maybe, I'm not going to demonstrate this, but maybe you can bring your foot to the inner thigh. And maybe you're starting to feel the wobbles. This is such a great pose to really cultivate that inner focus because you have to think about your body and you have to remain present to stay balanced. As soon as I start thinking about my to-do list that's waiting for me on my desk, I'm going to fall. Even talking is really hard. Because all I want to do is focus and breathe. So focus and breathe. Maybe extend your arms up. And then turn your knee forward, release, bring your hands down. And lift your right heel as you ground down into your left foot. And grounding down into that standing leg is really important because that's where you draw the stability. Turn your right knee out, maybe right ankle or right heel to left ankle. Tree pose. And from here, you can choose your own adventure, as I like to say. So you can walk your foot up, you can keep it low. I recommend trying to repeat what you did on one side on the other just for the sake of balance, but that's not always the best thing to do for you. And again, embracing the shakes, embracing the wobbles, embracing the imperfections, because God, divine mystery, is always embracing you in spite of, and sometimes because of, these imperfections. And what a gift that is. Take another moment and release. Shake it out. Inhale your arms up. Exhale as you hinge forward, folding forward, Uttanasana, bending knees as much as you need to. And then from here, gracefully lower yourself down onto the mat and onto your seat, and extend your legs outward into kind of a straddle or a V. So if this is feeling tight, you can bend your knees, or you can put cushions underneath and lift yourself up from the floor. That might feel better. And if you're in a chair, you can sit on the edge of your chair and extend your legs outward as far as they can go. And then we're just going to simply walk the hands forward, coming into a very gentle forward fold with the legs open. Your feet can be active, pointed, what some people call pointed, which is like in the middle of flexing and point, or just simply relax. Coming back to that question, where did you express gratitude for yourself in the last hours, days, weeks? And where was that gratitude missing for yourself? Slowly walk your hands up, grab underneath your knees, lifting your knees, pull your feet together into Baddha Konasana, round angle, and maybe just wiggle a little bit to spread out. And then hands can come to shins, ankles, or feet. Take an inhale here and exhale, slowly release. Inhale, slowly come up. Bend your knees. Toes point forward. Grab the backs of your knees, the backs of your thighs. And one last asana for strength, Navasana. Start to curve a C into your abdomen. So rolling back, really pull the belly button in, while also rolling shoulders back, and to a point where maybe you're balancing on your tailbone. Maybe you pick one foot off the floor and then the other. Maybe both feet come off the floor. Maybe arms extend, drawing on that inner strength. And then release. Slowly roll yourself all the way down into your back. And let your arms extend outwards into a T. Shift your hips slightly over to the left. Bend your knees, bring them up to about hips width distance or hips height, and then drop your knees over to the right. Recline twist. Your gaze can go in any direction that feels good. And inhale the knees back up through center. Bring the toes to the mat for a moment just to shift your hips over to the right. And I shift so that when you twist, your spine is in line. Then bring your knees, your legs up tabletop. Knees are bent 90 degrees. Exhale, drop knees over to the left. And with the reflection and the movement that you've experienced, where will you choose to move forward from here? How can you cultivate more gratitude for yourself in your daily life? Slowly bring your knees back through center. Bend knees into your chest. Maybe grab your shins or backs of knees. Maybe grab outside edges of feet for happy baby. And then whatever you have a hold of, gently release. You can extend your legs long, feet relaxed. You can bring your feet to the mat and bend your knees. Find a comfortable resting position. If you're seated, lean back in your chair. Make sure that your feet are grounded on the floor. And take a few moments of rest in Shavasana. That star could not, by itself, become aware of its own beauty or sacrifice. But the star can, through us, reflect back on itself. In a sense, you are that star. Look at your hand. Do you claim it as your own? Every element was forged in temperatures 1,000,000 times hotter than molten rock, each atom fashioned in the blazing heat of the star. Your eyes, your brain, your bones, all of you is composed of the star's creations. You are that star, brought into a farm of life that enables life to reflect on itself. Slowly start to wiggle your toes, open and close your hands, bring some movement back into your body. If it feels good, you can gently roll over to one side and then slowly start to come back up into a comfortable seat. I want to thank all of you for practicing with me today. We're going to be moving into our groups now, so you will be ending our time in our respective groups, but I just want to express gratitude for each and every one of you, and I hope to see you at our next session in 2 weeks. We'll be focusing on gratitude for community. So thank you all very much, and I'll see some of you in a few moments.